The first human exploration of galaxies. The first expedition to the great Andromeda Galaxy. According to Andrew Harlan's journals, all has been forgotten. Okay guys, believe it or not, in the famous Harlan Diary found years ago inside the spaceship Pytheas, historians have managed to decipher what could be the story of the birth of our colonies in this part of the universe. As I'm sure you already know, the Pytheas is an old ship that in the form of a wreck was and still is in part, since after the discovery of the manuscript was saved from scrapping and isolated in a sterile bubble on Hope 4, the great space platform where large ships are recycled that have reached the end of their lives. A metal graveyard where everything is salvaged. You may also recall that Pytheas was found off the coast of Andromeda 1, a small spheroidal galaxy satellite of Greater Andromeda, with no one on board and the memories of all the computers completely wiped out. It was only many years later that the diary was found, a collection of sheets thick with signs as they were used a million years ago. Andrew Harlan, as far as we have been able to understand, was not part of the crew, but he was kind of an observer, embarked to follow closely what apparently was the first intergalactic expedition made with a warp propulsion ship. A historical event for those ancient humans, and for us, the possibility to know a part of our forgotten history. What is our planet of origin? How come we are scattered on planets and galaxies so far away? The following are scattered fragments of the diary, the only ones we have been able to translate. Some of the terms remain incomprehensible, like all the units of measurement of time, and as well as the chronology of events, which we still have not been able to match with our dates. April 15th, 2452. It's a Monday, exactly 1,000 years after the birth of Leonardo da Vinci. The Pytheas detaches from Phobos with Pluto as its first destination. On board there are 987 of us, 377 men and women crew. The rest is a sample of various humanity carefully selected according to age and skills. They are all volunteers and know full well that this, due to physics issues, will be a journey of no return. When we will cut the first goals, in fact for us, will have passed only days, weeks, or months, while for our planet will have passed thousands of years. No one will ever know among those left on the ground if our expedition will have been successful or not. April 15th, 2452, 0:36 p.m. Universal Time. The 48 Alcubierre warp engines fired up in progression with timing that mirrors the inverse Fibonacci series. The first jump will only be a test. We will arrive at Pluto with an average speed between acceleration and deceleration of 0.1 c, equal to 30,000 kilometers per second, 1/10 the speed of light. April 17th, 2452, 7:12 p.m. After a little more than 2 days, the Pytheas came to rest off Pluto. Commercial spaceships, the large freighters that still move with atomic propulsion, usually take 3 months to cover the same distance of 6 billion kilometers. With its size, the Pytheas is unable to dock with the Tombaugh space station and is limited to stationing on the vertical of Pluto 3, a base where about 500 people currently live. This, after all, is the last chance to give our news to the world we are leaving. Tonight, if all the controls give us the green light, we will start to get serious. The second leap will not only take us outside the solar system, but even outside the Milky Way. April 18th, 2452, 3:23 a.m. The Fibonacci sequence started. This time, however, with the motors set for initial speed of 0.8 c, or 240,000 kilometers per second. This is a dramatic moment. For the first time in the history of mankind, a spaceship is about to escape the gravitational pull of our galaxy and head towards another universe island, as these wads of light were called 5 centuries ago, as soon as they recognized their status as extragalactic objects. Our destination, which we can comfortably see through the immense glass windows of the glass room, is the galaxy we all know as the Small Magellanic Cloud. It is almost 203,000 light-years away, and for the first time, the warp will be used at full power. So far, the Alcubierre propulsion has been tested on 2 shuttles that in 2422 and 2436 had moved away to distances of only 2 or 3 light-years. This is understandable, since otherwise the results of experiments on longer distances would have been known on our planet only after centuries. And now suddenly the jump is 50,000 times longer. So in the glass room, we look at each other with great concern. Some people still wonder why such an incredibly distant galaxy was chosen for the first real jump. But in reality, flying in distant hyperspace or near hyperspace makes no difference. At the speed of light, the duration of the trip for those in the spaceship is always the same, practically equal to 0. If it was not for a question related to the energy needed, which is consumed faster than it is possible to accumulate using gravitational waves, we could also decide to make a leap of billions of light years, and always with 0 flight time. It's just a matter of energy. In fact, the enormous amount of positive and negative energy required to create a warp bubble remains the biggest challenge associated with the Alcubierre concept, which forces us to make leaps no longer than about 1 million light years at a time. So we are about to leave at the time of the small cloud, but actually our final destination is much further. It is the Great Andromeda Galaxy, which we will try to reach in stages, passing first through the Fornax Dwarf, NGC 6822, and Andromeda 1. Meanwhile, as I write this, we should have reached the speed of light. No vibration, no noise, nothing. The Milky Way behind us has disappeared. The glass windows send us back a total, tarry, oppressive blackness. In reality, although the flight time is always theoretically instantaneous, there remains for each trip a random time delay of which we do not yet know the cause. So it happens sometimes that travels in hyperspace at very short distances last hours or days. Just like that, without any reason. Hang on a sec, guys, before we continue. Be sure to join the Insane Curiosity channel. Click on the bell. You will help us to make products of even higher quality. April 18th, 2452, 3:56 a.m. A little more than half an hour has passed and a long sound signal warns us that the ship has come out of hyperspace and is now moving with normal ion propulsion. The holographic visual assistants, scattered all over, explain to us that we have stopped at 5,000 light years from the galactic center. And indeed, the screens send us back a dream vision. The small Magellanic Cloud is an irregular galaxy, probably an ancient spiral torn apart by the gravitational field of the Milky Way. From where we are, it appears to extend for more than 120 degrees, and it looks like a giant and messy set of colorful stars, drowned in a large amount of dust on which stand out here and there the red regions of intense star formation. In fact, it is a very small galaxy, just a 20th of the length of the Milky Way, but rich in star clusters and nebulae of all kinds. The right place to look for a suitable planet for our first colony. December 30th, 2454. 2.5 years have passed since our arrival. In that time, we have visited the habitability belt of 107 planetary systems. We found vegetation and elementary animal life on at least 32 planets. But the best of all, in the end, was George, a planet almost indistinguishable from Earth. A planet we named in memory of George F. Kennan, who died in an accident during the first explorations of the planet. On George, 144 colonists have descended, a small community with everything that we will follow for another year before continuing the journey. December 25th, 2455. The calendar says it's Christmas, and the emotion was felt not a little bit when we said goodbye to the small colony of George, which in the meantime had increased by 3 units. January 12th, 2456, 3:15 p.m. The warp engines fire up again, and this time to push the Pytheas towards the Fornax Dwarf Galaxy, 456,000 light-years away. And there we will probably find a very different environment than in the small cloud. January 29th, 2456, 0:22 a.m. We came out of hyperspace with an incredible delay of 17 days. It was like traveling at 0.999 C. What was it that held us back? Mystery. In front of us, meanwhile, a strange globular-shaped haze has materialized. It's the dwarf galaxy of the Fornax, whisper the virtual assistants. What a difference compared to the small cloud. That one was very bright and full of dust and gas. This one instead appears to be composed only of stars and is practically a ghost. They say it is very old and that all the orbits around the Milky Way have deprived it a little at a time of gas and dust, leaving only stars just as old and the inability to generate new ones. And this is a problem because as far as we know, first-generation stars have no metals, and without metals it is also difficult to form planets. It is decided to try to look anyway. July 22nd, 2456. After visiting 44 planetary systems, only one planet was found to be suitable for the settlement of a colony, but surprisingly, it was rejected by most of the colonists. We don't like this galaxy, they say. It tastes like death. July 29th, 2456, 4:23 a.m. We set off for NGC 6822, a dwarf galaxy also, but quite similar to the small cloud in size and dust richness. The distance is challenging, a jump of about 1.3 million light years. The hope is that the mysterious delay with which we arrived at the furnace dwarf does not yet manifest itself. It's not pleasant to spend days on end as if in a tunnel. July 31st, 2456, 5:22 a.m. 2 days. This time the delay is acceptable, considering also the acceleration and deceleration times. The screens open and we find ourselves contemplating a shapeless cluster of blue stars that stretches for at least 120 degrees. Less bright than the small cloud, but even richer in explosive regions of star formation. Meanwhile, virtual assistants tell the story of this small but very famous galaxy. Also known as the Barnard Galaxy, more than 5 centuries ago, it was the first object to be recognized as outside the Milky Way. The glass room is crowded. All those colors make you happy, and many people here are looking forward to descending on a planet at least as beautiful as George. First, we have to find it, though. September 4th, 2457. After just over a year of searching among 88 planetary systems and 97 planets visited, the chosen one is Amazonia, an incredible world of water and forests inhabited by birds and small red crabs. A little larger than Earth but less massive, accompanied by several small moons. Today, 144 more settlers have taken over the first settlement. They have everything they need to survive and thrive, but there is a common sense of bitterness in greeting them. The laws of physics are unforgiving. We know we will never see them again. Before we leave, we inform them that a planet not far from theirs may be inhabited by sentient, albeit primitive creatures. September 9th, 2457, 11:11 p.m. Before the final leap towards the Great Andromeda, it has been decided to pass through one of its small satellite galaxies, Andromeda 1, that we will use as a balcony to overlook the big sister of our Milky Way. Andromeda 1 is about 140,000 light-years away from the Great Andromeda, which means that we will have to travel about 700,000 light-years to reach it. September 9th, 2457, 11:15 p.m. We are already out of hyperspace, this time after only 4 minutes. The large windows open up to the terrifying spectacle of a great Andromeda, going from one end of the sky to the other. Much, much brighter and more vivid than the Milky Way we observe from Earth. We look for Andromeda, but we don't see it. Its few stars, enclosed in a diameter of just 10 light-years, overlap the very bright outline of its mother galaxy. Impossible to recognize them with the naked eye. November 7th, 2457. Here, Andrew Harlan's notes stop, as if something very bad had just given him time to hide the diary in a bulkhead of the Pytheas. The ship was found in order but uninhabited and emptied of instrumentation, with all the lifeboats missing. We don't even know how much time separates us from that event, nor which planet those people came from. Could they have landed on a planet in Andromeda? However few stars there are in this tiny galaxy, we have no trace of settlements, nor have we ever had contact with the George and Amazonia colonies. Is it possible that the relativistic dilation of time has been so deep as to erase all traces of their passage? In any case, it is a very sad thing.